Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last special holiday one shot of 2022. Happy 2023. um, Tonight, Kevin has graciously volunteered to run a few of us through a scenario he has created for the Star Trek Adventures role playing game by Modiphius Publishing, and I will let him tell us all about it, and I'll pass it over to him.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm not usually in the driver's seat for these kind of things, so hopefully there won't be too many deer in the headlights moments. Um, so just a little bit about where I'm coming from. Although Star Trek is not the first role-playing game that I played or ran, it is the game that brought me to the hobby. My dad took me to see The Wrath of Khan in theaters at age 10, and I was hooked. And 2 years later, when Star Trek 3 came out, what did I behold? In the movie magazine, but a full page ad for the Star Trek role playing game. Another full page ad for that same company's Starship Tactical Combat Simulator. So I was kind of hooked at that point into the hobby, and without knowing rules, started designing adventures. And many games and years later, here we are. So I wanted to sort of bring my love of the setting and role playing games in general to the stream, which is definitely out of my element. I couldn't pull this off without the help of the Untold Stories project crew. I want a special shout out for Jonesy for this gorgeous overlay here. I'll let the players introduce themselves and say a little bit about the character they're playing. With just a little, keep your eyes out. I have a tendency when I'm running, usually offline, of course, I have a tendency to put a lot of Easter eggs in my games. I did a demo of this rule set set back in the pre-Enterprise times, from the Scott Bakula series, and it was just overflowing with Total Recall Easter eggs. But of course, that group of gamers is like me, old sci-fi nerds, and so there were no surprises for them. So we'll see if you can spot the surprises we have hidden in tonight's adventure. Some will be obvious, some will not. And with that, I will kick it over to our usual Master of Ceremonies, Alex.
Well, hi, everybody. Tonight, I'm going to be playing First Lieutenant? Second Lieutenant. Second Lieutenant Terry Hathaway. Or, sorry, Lieutenant Commander Terry Hathaway, the medical officer of our USS Griffin. And I will pass it down to Wiki.
Oh, hi, I'm Wiki. I'm usually here on Tuesdays. I will be playing the resident Blue Lady of Violence. Lieutenant Vissa, and I will not attempt to say that last name because that is a lot of consonants.
Embrace your inner Andorian.
Yeah. I'd rather stab you. So
I need a drink after that.
That's me. I am the security officer aboard the Griffin. And I will pass it to Jonesy.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate getting a chance to play this game. I've been eyeing it for quite a while, and so I'm super excited to play. Tonight, I'll be playing Lieutenant Bob Dreisen. He is the science officer on the USS Griffin, so I get to be the science nerd, so which I'm excited about because the science officers are always my favorite officers on almost all the Enterprises, so and all the Star Trek shows. So
I love that his name is just Bob.
Robert, Bob.
I cannot imagine what situation is calling for the medical officer, the science officer, and the security officer to investigate it.
Well, it's funny that you should say that.
I don't know.
That is actually a perfect combination.
Maybe members of the crew are turning into salamanders.
Stranger things have happened in the world of Star Trek. So just a little brief bit of setup, of course. Since this is my first online attempt, and I've sort of, doing those callbacks to beloved things. This story is set in the original series movie era, shortly before The Wrath of Khan. So for players in my home groups that play in this era, I like to remind you that everyone is wearing a red shirt, so no one is safe. So if you are familiar with the uniforms there, sort of the reddish jacket, and your department is shown by the color of your turtleneck.
Oh, are we wearing maroon monsters?
Yes, that's. I'm not
Yay.
sure if anyone knew that. Yes, there you go. Right. So the captain of the USS Griffin is Patrick Stanford Morgan, who is a gentleman from the British Isles.
You mean Patrick
So-
Stewart Morgan?
Oh,
So
Stanford. You can't be too blatant with your Easter eggs. You gotta
That
put a
is-
little spin on it.
a super pretentious name for our captain.
It is. It really is. Okay, so I like to open the episodes with the reading of the captain's log entry to sort of set that flavor. So, no offense to anyone with my poor British accent, as I totally butcher this captain's log entry. Stardate 8013.5. The Griffin is on a assigned patrol station in the Borderlands, a region of space bordered by the Federation, Klingons, and the Orion Merchant League, which makes our task of protecting Federation interests interesting, to say the least. So, just for an opening scene and to sort of introduce my new players to the dice mechanic system, we are going to start on the rec deck, where I think it would be amusing for the science officer and the medical officer to be sparring with one another. Because, quite frankly, to put either of you up against our security chief would probably be embarrassing and quick. And of course, our security chief is busy practicing on the phaser range at such time, just so you get a feel for the combat mechanics when no one's life is really on the line. So with that being said, normally initiative is a little different in this system from more traditional games, where unless the player characters are surprised, like their team goes first and they can decide in what order everyone acts. And so it alternates back and forth until everyone has acted in the round. But since we have two player characters in contest, so Terry and Bob, if you would be so kind as to first on your character sheets, click fitness in your attributes and security in your disciplines, and then roll me those 2d20 task die and tell me who gets the most numbers of successes. A 0 is no successes. A red 0 is a complication with no successes. And then a 1 or 2 or other positive number is your number of successes. So you see two numbers pop up there for each of you.
I have a 2 and a 1.
I have rolled 1. Only 1 rolled. Did I do something wrong?
Do you see? There are two numbers down there, right?
I see the fitness and security on Jonesy's thing, but it only has 1 purple D6.
So on the character sheet, when you see the task roll, make sure that the 2 is highlighted.
Okay.
And then click the chevron to roll your task dice.
0 and a 2.
Okay, so it looks as though our doctor, I guess, has to keep fit to chase down all the people who are avoiding their annual fitness report, has 3 successes, and our science officer has 2. So we will let we will have our science officer lead off. Now, go ahead.
Have you ever tried to hold down a Klingon for a flu shot?
Can't say that I have.
All right.
I have.
So one of the things I like about the system that gives a little more of the parry and the sort of the dangerousness, melee combat is an opposed roll. So both of you will roll control and security and make sure you have 2 picked off on your task dice. Attacker wins ties, and so we will see who generates the biggest number of successes. So in other words, Alex, as you're going in to throw a punch, you must leave yourself vulnerable. So it's possible that Mr. Drayson will land a punch on you instead. So it's much safer to shoot people from a distance.
Fair enough. In honor of Kat, I will say I am the attacker.
There you go.
Oh no, I got 2 zeros.
Oh, that's really bad for you. All right. So again, the doctor is quick. He's not necessarily good with the fisticuffs. Okay. So our defender has 2 successes and our attacker has no successes. So that means, among other things, by exceeding, so, the difficulty was 1. By exceeding that by more than 1, Jonesy has generated what's known as a point of momentum. So that is a shared pool that works similar to hero points, except unlike hero points in St. Mutants Masterminds, which those of you who are familiar to the channel have heard of before, this is sort of a shared pool that you generate. So because it's a shared pool for the players, you see that a point of momentum has just popped up in my display. And so Jonesy can spend that for something, or he could bank it. And so you can have a maximum of 6 in your momentum pool. So as the adventure progresses, the players have an opportunity to build up points that will allow them to sway the outcome in the way that hero points do in a lot of other game systems, sort of giving you that player flexibility. I like a lot of the, there's a lot of options in the Modiphius system that lets the players sort of have some narrative control as they are building up on their success. Okay,
That's pretty cool.
Okay, so now, because our good friend Mr. Drayson has landed a hit on Terry, so down by your unarmed, down on your weapons, Jonesy, if you would click on the little Starfleet chevron symbol, that will roll and let us know what effects you got from that.
So I got 2 and the chevron.
Okay, so a 2, a 0, and a chevron. So that chevron counts as another point of stress. So you've done 3 total stress to Lieutenant Hathaway. Lieutenant Commander Hathaway, my apologies.
That's and stress.
So your stress tech should be in your notes. So 5 points of stress or more will result in an injury and could put someone out of a fight. So the 3 points of stress means you've taken a little bit of minor damage, but you're still in the fight. But that little chevron symbol means Jonesy has successfully gotten an effect, which with your unarmed is a knockdown. So if you wish, you may sweep the doctor off his feet, and again, you can sort of describe that successful round of combat, narratively, so you give that a little sauce and let us know what happened.
So yeah, he comes to do comes in to do a punch at me, and I duck and get it, leaves himself open. So I kind of just do a rabbit punch against the side, and then I sweep the leg and knock him on his ass.
Okay, excellent. So another thing that's a little different for those of us at home who haven't played Modiphius before, you don't really apply modifiers to the die roll. You're always trying to get equal to or under that target number determined by your attribute and discipline. What happens to make things easier or harder is certain circumstances that result from what you've done will change the difficulty number. So right now, Dr. Hathaway is prone, which makes melee attacking more difficult. So instead of a difficulty 1 task to melee brawl, while the doctor is prone, the doctor is a difficulty 2 to attack, because punching someone from the ground who's still on their feet, that's a little tricky. Now, if the doctor had like a focus or a talent or a value that maybe, I don't know, maybe they have a martial arts background kind of thing, like you take a lot of those. There's a lot of ways that the players have sort of an impact on how things unfold. I'm assuming the doctor, I know I built him, but I built like 5 or 6 characters. I don't recall building the doctor with a lot of martial arts ability. So while he's prone, the doctor's not in great shape. And what makes that especially troubling for the doctor is that happened on his turn. And so now it is Commander Drayson's turn to act in combat if he will. So
is pointing and laughing a free action?
That is a free action. Yeah.
Okay.
I assume that you were in close range to do melee combat just because that really makes the most sense. You can do a minor action and a task as part of your standard round of things. You may purchase additional minor actions with momentum.
Just aim and curb stop, Bob.
But in any case, it is Lieutenant Drayson's turn.
Doesn't seem like a very Starfleety thing to do.
So, are you gonna give in up yet, Terry?
No, we're still showing the rules to the audience. Sorry, I mean never surrender.
That's a different IP. Yeah, so I guess I will assume that he's going to shamble to his feet. So I'm going to still go in for another strike.
Okay. All right. So again, melee combat is. Did I mess that up? It's daring and security. Is that what I had you roll? I should have had you roll.
Daring and security, not
Yes.
fitness and security.
Oh, control and security is what I was told to roll.
Okay, I do that all the time. Control and security is for range combat.
Ah.
Okay,
Sure,
I'll be
it's
all right.
fine.
Oh, I'm trying. Okay, so, and again, your typical Starfleet adventure, not necessarily lots of melee combat. So maybe that's why I have control on the brain. I had you guys roll the fitness and security for initiative,
Mhm.
just because ordinarily, like your side would go first, and you could decide who amongst you goes in what order. But since it was 2-player characters, I had you roll that for just initiative.
Oh, that makes sense.
So yes, my
So
bad.
daring and
Security is melee. Now again, this is an opposed roll, but right now the doctor needs a difficulty of 2 because he's prone. So that gives the attacker an extra advantage.
And my heart's not in it. Teaser ass.
Oh. Apparently your heart's not in it because not only did you get no successes, but you had a natural 20 for that red 0 means a complication.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Am I supposed to roll to attack back since it's a melee
Yes.
attack? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
But my difficulty goes up.
Melee
one.
combat's an opposed roll. Yes. So you need a difficulty of 2. So
Where do I
what
mark
that means-
difficulty?
Well, you don't
I've got complication, range, task roll, challenge dice.
you don't need to mark difficulty. Like that's based on the number of successes you get
Oh, okay. So I need
So-
2 successes to succeed.
to hit him. Yes.
Okay.
Now the thing is so if you get only 1 success, it doesn't, it doesn't mean you've necessarily hurt yourself, but you have just failed to attack because of the higher difficulty.
Mhm, okay. Which I have done so with 2 ones.
But you get 2 successes. All right. So from prone, you have maybe done a leg sweep. So roll the Starfleet Chevron dice next to your unarmed combat, and we'll see how much success you get.
One
So
success.
only 1 success. So that is not enough for a knockdown because there were no Chevron effects, and that only does 1 stress.
I was going to show him the floor work we learned at Starfleet Academy.
Very good. So,
Was that-
it seems a little unusual, I guess, from my personal play experience. But I like the fact that so there was a perfect example. Neither of you were successful as the attacker, but you were successful as the defender in a melee combat, and so it makes it a little more unpredictable, and a little more dangerous.
That's really cool.
And again, I didn't want to put either one of you up against the security chief because, oh God, that would just be brutal and short.
You're assuming that the dice like me
Well,
because
Well,
there was a game in which my character was supposed to be the ace sniper and could not shoot anything. So
okay, that does happen sometimes. All right, so over on the target range, Lieutenant Commander Vistia, why don't you go ahead and give us a control and security roll? We'll say it's just a difficulty 2 because the targets are at this point moving a little more slowly.
that's 2 successes on 2 dice.
So that's it. That hits. So if you were attacking someone, obviously you're on the phaser practice range and they don't want you blasting holes in the bulkheads. That just scores. You hear the ding of a successful hit. And just to sort of, again, we don't really adjust what you're rolling on the D20. We just adjust the number of successes you need. The targets with your success start moving a little faster. So make another shot of control and security, and let's see how you do with that increased difficulty. So you need a 3 now. 3 successes.
Nope, just
Okay.
2.
But no complications, and that's a good thing in and of itself. So you're a little upset with yourself that, just setting it up to level 2 sort of makes things a little more, makes it a little trickier for you, but no one saw that, so you're not going to tell anyone. And
I didn't see it either. I was trying it with my eyes closed.
Okay. So again, I don't want to spend a lot of time in the sort of the practice realm. I want to get to the adventure and the scenario. But that was just a quick show of melee and range combat. So do any of you players have any questions based on what we've seen so far?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. So we will sort of do a scene wipe. The melee practice ends on the rec deck, and you guys help each other up, and everybody gets cleaned up. Your stress goes away as you get a little bit of a break before you're reporting for duty. The 3 of you are just sort of chatting in the mess hall. You hear the sounds of the crew around you. Everyone sort of, it's been a quiet couple weeks on patrol when the red alert siren sounds and everyone begins scrambling for their duty station.
Red alert, you say?
Red alert.
Well, watch this, everybody at home. It's a red alert now.
Oh no!
Awesome. Awesome.
I was pretty happy about that.
Yes. Again, thank you. Jonesy.
I adore this overlay, by the way. It's amazing.
Yes. Jonesy pulled it all out. Yes.
I'm glad you
All right.
appreciate it, Calvin.
All right. So
Well,
besides,
I'm heading
sorry.
for the bridge.
okay.
Me too.
Yes. I suspect that Dr. Hathaway is one of those Dr. McCoy types that seems to spend time on the bridge when, maybe
You really shouldn't.
maybe he should.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, I always point this out to new players of Star Trek who feel like they have to be a level 12 Trekkie to play a Star Trek role-playing game. Like, all of the shows really come off like a LARP. Like, the player
Kind
characters are the main characters. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of sense in who's in the landing party or who's on the bridge. Those are the player characters, right? So that's how you pull it off.
Especially in original era when the captain and the first officer are always going on the away missions together.
Yes. Yeah.
That's not how that should work.
What risk, you say?
What's the worst that can happen? A guy in a lizard costume comes out and I gotta beat him up.
Indeed. All right. So you arrive on the bridge. Everyone is sort of leaning forward intently. You see the stars are streaking by at maximum warp. And the captain swills. So glad you've joined us. We have a situation. We've received a distress call. A freighter out of Alpha Centauri, the Star of Lefandi, is come under attack. But unfortunately, the distress call has been cut off. Someone is jamming the signal. At this speed, we should be arriving in about 10 minutes, and then we'll see what we'll see. So everyone kind of settles into their duty stations. The ship is running 5x5. Everything looks great. And as the ship drops out of warp, there appear to be 2 sleek vessels of unknown design that are harrying with phaser fire. A freighter, sort of a what do you mean, Rocky Expedition? Sorry, I'm getting involved with the chat. I gotta stay focused. So they are sort of sweeping around. You see that one of these little warcraft delivers a strike near the front of the freighter. It's sort of oblong looking, kind of ungainly, not like a very sleek vessel of Starfleet or these little warships that are harrying it. And all of you on the bridge see that the shields sort of flicker out. One of those ships swings around to make a head-to-head run at the Griffin, while the other sweeps in more closely. And why don't somebody go ahead and give me a insight or reason? This is sort of like your spot roll, if you will, and security. So you get to choose insight or reason and security. So click those two and make sure you have two selected on the task roll. If you have a focus that deals with starship combat or any type of tactical situation, make sure you click your focus used yes, so that it gets you your extra success.
I have 2 successes.
Okay.
I apparently have 4 successes.
That's what's up.
Wow. Okay. So, and of course, it makes sense. You're the tactically minded security chief. That other ship, the one that is, sort of trying to be all nondiscreet while one of them makes a run at the Griffin, swings in real close and pauses briefly. You're fairly certain there was some transporter activity over there. Obviously, the Griffin shields are up. The ship kind of rocks, and you do that whole as
Everybody left.
Yes. And the captain, who also seems to be savvy to what's going on, says, "Well, this doesn't play well. Science officer, give us a scan of what's happening over there." So you're going to roll, Commander Drayson, you're going to roll your
insight
and science. If the doctor or the security officer would like to roll 1d20 for us to have assistance from the ship. The ship can assist with some tasks, so like sweeping for sensors. So just whoever's going to roll for the ship, knock your task back to 1, your task die, and then give us a click. Ships are always assumed to have a relevant focus. Volunteer, Wiki or Alex?
I'll roll a assist dice. What stat should I roll it for? Insight?
Well, you're just going to roll a d20. I will let you know if you rolled low enough to get 1 or 2. Again, you're rolling for the ship has slightly different attributes.
Gotcha. I rolled a 14 on the dice.
Okay, so unfortunately, the ship's sensors are probably overloaded by the phaser fire that is raking across the shields, and so the ship does not provide any assistance to our science officer. However, how did our science officer do?
Well, science officer got 2 successes.
Okay. Science officer, you are able to confirm the security chief's suspicions. There are now a dozen Orion life forms on board that freighter. They beamed into a point near the bridge, and they are moving rapidly throughout the vessel.
You're being rude.
Indeed,
Sounds like somebody needs our help, Captain.
yes, and these bloody Orions have scratched my hull. So, Vicia, do take a landing party over there and remind them how much that disturbs me, please, and see about rescuing some hostages while you're at it. So, Drayson and Hathaway are on the duty roster for the next landing party. So you guys will scramble over to the transporter room. And because we always need people who can, die without a whole lot of concern, we got 3 security ensigns will meet you there. And you will transport over. So that will be a scene change. One of the things that would happen is you lose any sort of banked momentum when you do a major scene change. So you arrive on board with your weapon of choice and your tricorder. You have a phaser 1 or phaser 2. They should be on your sheets. Okay.
I'm going to use my
everyone
phaser 1.
So you have arrived in a corridor. The transporter operator tells you he's putting you in near where the Orions boarded. There are no Orions in your immediate area, but the three of you can give me an insight and security.
In theory, we can.
1 success with a complication.
Oh, that's what I love to see.
3 successes.
Okay.
Finding
So-
things to shoot is what I do, apparently.
All right. So the difficulty was 2. You've beamed into a strange ship. You're not sure exactly what's going on. So the science officer is still a little distracted by the fact that they've beamed into a combat situation.
This doesn't seem sciencey at all.
I'm busily fiddling with my tricorder.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
It's true.
So
Lieutenant Commander Hathaway is like, maybe I should be on the infirmary back on our ship.
too late. You're already here. All right. So because Viscia has exceeded the difficulty by 1, that will be a point of momentum that she can either spend for more information or bank. The problem for everyone is Dr. Hathaway learns what the security chief has learned at greater cost. A quick scan of her tricorder tells her that apparently the Orions have split up. 6 of them seem to be moving aft rather quickly, and the other 6 seem to be nearby on the bridge. And our good friend Dr. Hathaway's complication is the door to the bridge opens, and an Orion standing there with a energy weapon of some type in his hands will get to act first. Okay. Now,
Sorry,
because I didn't have time to set up all these NPCs in the game system, and because I also want a chance to use my actual Star Trek dice that I bought. Ooh, aren't they pretty? Yeah, look at that. I'm going to be doing dice in the real time.
Oh boy.
Ooh, okay. So
Ryan looks at me and says, blast him. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're in the wrong universe.
So there's good news and there's bad news. One of my dice is not a success. The other dice is a natural 1, which is a critical success. So I got the 2 successes that I need to shoot you at close range. So
fair.
what happens now is I'm going to do my effect dice. And for those, I guess I want you to see those. So I will roll the effect dice in the system so you see how that looks. Okay, so he's going to have 4, and because it's the wonky one, I'm going to have to hit it twice to get it to pop up. Oh, okay, for the first time, it worked the first time. So, but it looks like I have the same number of successes either way. So that means our doctor will suffer 2 stress. Now, because it's not 5, it does not put him out of the fight. It chips away at his stress pool. So he has sustained a minor burn from the energy weapon. It kind of goes off, and he's a little panicked.
Who shoots
So-
at the doctor?
Hey,
That's a war crime. Probably.
Yeah, it's definitely a
he's
war
not-
crime.
he's not the agent of a government. He's just the pirate.
Oh,
Right?
bummer.
Okay,
Pirates can't do war crimes.
indeed.
They
can.
just do regular crimes.
All right, so one of the Orions is gone. So that means unless they would spend momentum, which they don't have. So I have something called a threat pool, which is sort of like villain points to those of you playing other games. So I could spend some of my threat. I get to start with 2 for each player character to keep the initiative and have another Orion act next. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it pass to your team. So now you guys get to decide who is taking action. The 3 of you are main characters. You have 3 sort of NPC security guys who are along. You can decide which of you, if one of you wants to set someone else up for something, Yeah, so it's sort of a more of a cooperative structure to combat, or if you feel as though you just want Viscia to start kicking butt and taking names, well, you could do that too.
I think the security just should be security.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm ready to shoot some stuff.
Okay.
Go get him. All I want to do is run and hide.
All right, so I'll remember this time. Range combat is control plus security, and you have a difficulty of 2. Now, I will tell you, of the 6 Orions that you can see through that open doorway in the bridge, one of them has a hostage with an arm around that hostage's neck. It's a woman with no hair, and he's got an energy pistol kind of. So he will be a difficulty 3 to hit because he's got somebody in close that he's using as a shield. So any of the other ones you can target. You can take a minor action to use one of the charge functions of your phaser. If you look at the combat handout for what your phaser does, you could do an area attack. And that's a general setting of the phaser. If you get initiative or want to spend, you get momentum or want to spend the momentums in the pool, you can have a secondary target be hit. But so you can do your minor action before or after you shoot. You can take an aim action, which means you can reroll one of your 20s in your pool. So there's different actions you can take to set up your task or your main function. If you have a chance to look at the minor actions handout.
Can I aim?
Yes. Okay, so that's a minor action, and what that will do is when you do your task of shooting with the phaser, it gives you the option to reroll a single one of your d20s in the pool. If you're not, I mean, you've done pretty good, I think, with your combat skills rolling your 2d20. You may purchase extra dice. There is that point of momentum in the pool. You may spend to purchase 1 extra d20. And you could do that after you roll. If things go poorly, you might decide to spend that. But this, just to keep in mind different things you can do.
Okay, I'm gonna push the doctor behind me because what are you doing? And I'm just gonna try to shoot somebody.
Okay.
And I get to turn my focus on because I'm using hand phasers.
Okay, so that means that any of your d20s, yes, turn your focus on. So any of your d20s that come in equal to or below your security will count as 2 successes. So this is where the security officer really shines, racking up those extra successes. So are you targeting the one with the hostage, which with a higher difficulty, or are you targeting one of the other 5?
Man, I really want to. I'm targeting the one with the hostage.
Okay.
Because I really want to. All right.
Okay. So again, it's a higher difficulty, but that's a very heroic thing to do.
Let's see what happens. No, I can't actually see it. I got to go back to the. Did it roll? Oh.
I think it did, and it doesn't look good.
No, it sure doesn't.
Here's the thing. Fortunately, you aimed, which means you can re-roll one of your d20s. So that one that got you a complication, you're gonna, probably want to replace that.
And how do I do that?
Okay, so just flick your
to 1.
Yes, flick your task dice back to 1 and roll it again. Now the one that you got as a success, you're gonna leave that there. Okay, so you have 2 successes.
Okay.
So it's not enough to hit the guy with the human shield. However, it does get rid of your complication, which typically would mean that your the shield would have been hit. So at least you didn't burn down a hostage, right? Because you were taking careful aim, you see sort of a spark off the front bulkhead by the main screen, but it did not hit your target. Okay, so now if things go normally, it will default back to the other side. If now you only have 1 momentum in the pool, which means you could spend that point of momentum and give me a point of threat if you want to keep the initiative and have a player character or a friendly act next. In other words, you're sort of seizing the initiative by spending those points, or you can just let the combat flow normally.
Team.
I think we just let it go. We should hang on to that for something a little bit more valuable than initiative. But
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Our big gun went. That's the best we could do.
All right. So another one of the Orions sort of moves to get a better shot. Oh, it's ironic that in most D20 games I roll consistently below a 5, so I should be amazing at this game. However, now I can't roll below a 15 because my dice hate me. So that Orion, I guess, overestimated. So some sparks fly off the ceiling out in the corridor as his shot goes completely wide and misses all of you. I am not going to spend my threat pool just yet to seize the initiative. So that means it goes back to your side. Everyone but Wiki, again, you can have your 3 NPCs do something, or Jonesy or Alex, if you want to take the next initiative.
I have a question, and that will depend on the answer to this question will depend on what I would suggest do we do next.
Sure.
Given I have a tricorder and we're not on the Federation ship. Never mind.
Well, it is a Federation civilian ship. Is that?
So the reason I was asking is because basically what I want to do is use my tricorder to see if I can make like a loud beep or squawk, or basically make the controls near where he's holding the hostage go off to distract him so the hostage can break free.
Okay. So you're trying to create an advantage or create a situation or create a diversion. Okay.
Yep.
Now, we can take a look at the task list. Does any of your values associate with that? Like looking at your values list for your character sheet, is there anything that
I have a theory in every situation?
Okay. So one of the things I'm not suggesting you do this. I'm just trying to sort of lay it out there for people who are new to the system. Your determination point, you can spend that if a situation fits your value to get an automatic 1, and then you would roll your 2d20 for task, then possibly generating a number of other successes. I don't know if you necessarily want to spend it on this, but that's just something to think about.
Okay.
When the situation matches your determination, or when the situation matches your values, spending a point of determination lets you get extra successes. The way you get more, and again, I made the comparison to Pathfinder 2 hero points. Everyone starts a session with 1, and you can only have a maximum of 3. When your values would cause a complication for you, you would earn another point of determination. So, which is similar to the hero point mechanic in Mutants and Masterminds. So just, again, I didn't want to necessarily encourage you to do that just yet. I just thought, it's something to point out there to the people watching at home who are new to the system. Okay, so you can attempt to create an advantage. That will be a difficulty 2. I believe that's probably going to fit the closest on our task list. All right, so you are looking to use your tricorder. Okay, so I assume that means you would be using your science discipline. Because you're doing something in combat, you could use your insight or reason, or I could even see you making a statement for why daring would apply. So again, the system is kind of designed to get you thinking about what your character is doing, and often suggests, like, yes, the GM can suggest an attribute and discipline combo, but players are encouraged to sort of come to their own conclusion about which of those fits best and sort of state that case. So I would say any of those bottom 3 attributes and your science would be what you're combining. And then you're going to roll your 2d20 task. Now, do you have a focus? Again, as a pure scientist, I don't know if you do or not. Do you have a focus
Nope.
that would extend your critical success range? And if not, that's okay.
Nope. Goose eggs.
Oh,
And a critical
goose
failure.
eggs, and one of them is a complication. All right. So for your complication, the hostage is not really put in a position to escape, but several of the Orions seem to be looking at you as if you are up to no good and maybe present a danger. Okay. So
Yay!
do we want to spend any momentum threat to keep the initiative, or just let it pass back to the Orions?
I say let it pass back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if
Alright.
everybody can get shot before we leave this place.
I'm working on it. I'm trying.
Since that complication came up, let's say the next Orion is going to be suspicious of that pesky science officer who's doing weird things with a tricorder. We can take a shot at you. 13 and 19. I hate my dice. My dice hate me. Right. So
Yeah.
all right. So I'm rolling dice, so that's a complication enough. So he looks angrily at the science officer, and he tries to draw a bead. And if I were, paying better attention, maybe I should have had him aim. But in any case, he did not. And so that shot also goes wide, sort of, scorching up the corridor, but no harm, no foul to our Starfleet crew just yet. All right, back over to you guys. The doctor hasn't acted yet, and you have 3 security officers.
Yeah, I kind of think I should go last, just in case somebody needs triaged.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Red shirt number 1.
Go get him,
So-
Ray.
One of you want to roll me 2d20 on a task dice, and your target number is 11, and their discipline is a 2. So anything that's a set your no, that's going to be a problem.
Well, I have daring at 11 and con at 2. I can.
Okay, yes,
Roll
roll that
those.
combo, and that will give us the appropriate success scores. Something I didn't really think about with
2.
Okay, so
Nice.
one of the Orions is hit. So why don't you go ahead and roll 5 effect dice to see what happens to our poor Orion. So there underneath your task dice, there's the empty box with the Starfleet chevron. Just put 5 in that box and then click on the chevron to roll it. And if it doesn't pop up the
Oh,
first
okay,
time,
I
you have to
see.
hit it a
I
second.
see. Where it says challenge.
Yes. Yeah, for some reason you might have to hit it a second time, and it's still
I
not gonna
did.
hit it. That's
He doesn't. It doesn't like me. Let me try that.
weird. Are you seeing results? 'Cause
You have
there we
to.
go.
You have to
There we
click
go.
off
Okay, so that's
of
3.
the bubble. You have to click off of the bubble where you put in the number.
Uh-huh.
If
Oh,
you
you have
don't,
to
you- if it's still like flashing, it
Okay.
doesn't see it as. So you have to click off of the bubble.
I learned something new. That's amazing.
The
Okay.
more you know.
So you got 3 successes there. So that is not quite enough to put one down, but he is hurt by that phaser blast. All right.
He
So
should
it
be.
will pass back to the 3rd Orion, because that complication didn't really pan out. This one will take the minor action to aim. So hopefully I can re-roll one of those d20s if I have to. Rolling on. Oh, okay. So I got 1 success. But my re-roll was 1 lower than the previous. So did not quite connect. That was a little closer to Commander Drayson. Wild energy blasts are raking the hallway. This is terrible. I need like a super Orion.
Super Orion. Nobody needs one of
With lots of
those.
focuses and a high security rating.
Oh no, here comes the hunter.
All right. So this year, why don't you roll for our next security officer?
Same
Yeah.
thingies. Okay.
Yeah. They're NPCs, so I just kind of gave them the same stats because I didn't want to get all super
1.
crazy. Okay, so not quite enough to connect. We could say that he aimed, so you could re-roll one of those task dice.
Okay.
Just adjust your task to 1.
Nope. Still 1.
Okay. All right. So this is turned into a Beavis and Butthead slap fight on the bridge of the Star of Lafani. It's a whole lot of shooting and not a whole lot of hitting going on.
So we
All
got
right.
Ray, who knows how to use his phaser.
Yes. All right. Next Orion will aim at Drayson. There we go. There's 3 successes, which is 1 more than he needs. Okay, so that means that I have successfully
I'm really upset with the science officer.
Mr. Drayson. Well, a complication should actually affect you before it goes away. My Mr. Drayson, that's not good. Okay.
Oh, no.
So I've got 4, which means you took 4 points of stress. Now, at full, I assume that doesn't put you out. Had it been 5, you would either have to take an injury and be out of the fight, or you could avoid an injury by spending 2 momentum or 2 threat, or some combination thereof. So that was almost a serious hit. So you took a scorching blow. You are still in the fight. How much stress do you have left? They are anti-science.
1.
Okay. Ooh, so you only have 5 total stress.
Oh wait. Yeah, I've got 4 left.
Okay, so that's
Looks
a
good.
little less scary. I'm like, I thought you had more than 5. Okay, so the science officer took a glancing hit, and things are looking a little scary. And that was the 4th science officer. So we have one more security officer who hasn't acted,
Yep.
Yes.
and then Alex.
But can I take that guy's turn to go help Drayson just to make sure he
You
doesn't
can.
get down?
Yes, so
Yeah.
you can move to him in a minor action. And then looking on our task list, I believe first aid should tell us about that difficulty.
Yes. The character attempts to stabilize an injured character within reach. He's not injured though, so is that?
No.
He's not injured. So yeah, getting rid of stress isn't something that you can really do in combat. Was there anything on the task list that sort of jumped out at you as something you wanted to take care of? You want to try and create an advantage. Like in other words, create some kind of distraction. That would be a difficulty 2, and you could use like daring and security, or something, or like with what Jonesy tried to do earlier with the sound effects with the tricorder. So you get to sort of narratively decide what attribute and discipline you want to tackle it with. Obviously, looking for things that you're good at so that you're more likely to be successful. And if you have applicable focuses, to increase your number of successes.
Can I try to distract the guy who has the hostage into letting the hostage go through psychiatry? Reverse
Sure.
psychiatry?
Yes. So you're going to, I don't know, try and
Reason
Sure.
and command?
those again. Like, yes, I like how you're embracing the narrative structure of the game. That makes perfect sense to me. So make sure you click your focus yes, and roll your 2d20.
Hey, let him go, you nerd.
You nerd. Well, if you're using reverse psychology,
Oh no!
why would you take that hostage? She's worthless. Dumbo.
Right, take me hostage instead.
Duh.
So unfortunately, it looks like you have no successes and a complication.
Yes.
Oh
So
my goodness.
as the game master, here's where I'm going. Man, things are going poorly already. So I'm going to, instead of giving you a complication currently, I'm going to bank 2 threat for myself that I can use later.
Oh no.
Captain, I would like to request new people on this away team. Ray can stay.
Kevin, I don't have a redder alert. I only have red alert. We're already at the max.
I know. So, but again, and it basically explains that in the book too. Like, you don't want so many complications to just wreck the whole engagement. So I'll just bank that threat to use it later at a more opportune time. And so you did not successfully talk that hostage out. So we have 1 injured Orion and 1 injured Starfleeter, and so there's 1 more Orion who gets to act, and this is the one with the hostage. I am going to increase his difficulty by 1 because he's aiming to shoot at one of you, and well, he's also trying to keep that hostage under control. So that will increase his difficulty by 1. So he needs 3 successes to hit that pesky doctor who's out there making all kinds of flappy noises.
They really are anti-science.
But I only got 2. I finally get 2 successes, And when you know it,
When you need the 3.
Yeah, that's how my dice taunt me. They're very, very unprofessional that way.
Are you allowed to spend threat to increase your roll?
You may spend well, not so much to increase your roll, but you may spend threat to purchase extra dice. Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
So in other words, all the things that you would spend momentum for, if you don't have enough momentum, you may give me equal threat instead. So the maximum number of dice you can roll, as you can see by the character sheet for any task, is 5 d20s. So there's an escalating cost to your extra dice. The first extra die costs you 1 point of momentum or threat. The second extra die costs an additional 2 points for a total of 3 points to get 2 dice. Your third extra die costs 3 points for a total of 6. So in other words, if you had a full momentum pool, you could empty it out without giving the GM any more threat, but that would empty out your pool. So there is a point of momentum in there you could buy 1 die with. You could have this last security guy aim. That will also increase his chances, like that lets him reroll one of his d20s.
Last security guy's definitely aiming.
Okay. do you and you can roll first. I kind of play it a little bit like, like hero points. Like you can roll first and then say, wow, that really sucked. I'm going to buy some extra dice. as long as we haven't tallied results yet, it's okay that we sort of have a little give and take with the dice pool. So you're gonna aim and then roll 2d20 for that last security guy.
Security guy.
Okay, so reroll one of those.
They're getting worse. Oh my God, security guy.
Oh my God.
This is where the Richards die.
Yeah, everybody but Ray. This guy goes first.
Oh no, we're the first crew that the Enterprise has to rescue later.
Yep.
Yes. So as you can see at home, folks, sometimes the dice are the true enemy. So I'm guessing with no successes and a complication, you probably don't want to spend any momentum or threat on bonus dice.
No, this security guy can do what red shirts do.
Yes. Okay. So now that everyone has acted, that's the end of the round. The new round starts. Because of Dr. Hathaway's complication, I gave the Orions the sort of surprise advantage. But in a normal circumstance, the players' side goes first. So in the new round, we're starting over fresh. So I will let you guys go first. You can pick who goes first. Remember,
all right, well,
if you want to do something with one of your minor actions, you can do your minor action to do one of your funky features with the phaser, or you could spend it to aim. Those are 2 common range combat minor actions.
Go get him, Vizia.
I've had enough of this. I'm going to draw my fancy little knife.
Oh. Okay.
And I'm going to get up in somebody's face.
Okay. Well, this just got all kinds of scary. So
the closest Orion is about to be challenged to a duel.
Okay. So retrieving an item is a minor action. Mm-hmm. We can spend that point of momentum, or you can give me a point of threat to do a second minor action, which would let you move over to one of the Orions. Which did you want to do? You want to spend a momentum or give me a threat?
I'll give you a threat.
Excellent. I like this. Because, you see me rolling horribly, so I need all the threat I can get to buy my way out of trouble later when it's time to get serial. Okay, so now you're going to, this is melee combat. So I'm
daring and security.
I'm not going to screw this up. Right, daring and security.
I wrote it down.
That's awesome. Bonus points for you. I am going to say that it's a difficulty 1. Because none of the Orions are armed for melee combat, I'm going to say that their difficulty is increased by 1. So because the attacker wins ties, this guy now has a harder time because you have created an advantageous situation. So we're going to do our opposed rolls, and I'm going to suck. Oh, no. Not only did I have no successes, I got a complication.
Oh, cool. Well, I get to turn my focus on because hand-to-hand combat.
Yes.
And I'm going to see what happens. Did it roll? Oh, it did roll. Oh, that's 3.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's really bad. You know why that's really bad? Because you only needed 1, which means above all things, you've generated 2 points of momentum.
Cool.
You can decide after you roll your damage if you want to spend it or bank it. So
Okay.
now you're going to want to roll the weapon down by your weapon. You're going to want to roll your effect dice for that Ushan.
So I just pushed the little chevron next to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've got
my
1,
God.
2, I've got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 4 chevrons.
Okay. So that's 9 points of raw, whatever. The chevrons count as a point of damage plus any special effect. So what under your Ushan, what is a special effect?
Vicious. It doesn't have any effects written, but it's vicious under qualities.
So each chevron, if you use them as the vicious quality, would count as an extra point of damage. So you would go from 13 to 17. So needless to say, you're taken out of a fight at 5 stress. Yeah. So he's in negative stress right now. So how does that look as your Andorian warrior says, screw this phaser business?
Well, my doctor gets shot. My science officer gets shot. My security officers don't know how to hold their phasers. So I just whip that, whip my Ushan out and just get up in that business. And I'm just kind of like, woo, sit down.
Yeah. So that guy hits the deck and doesn't move. I think I might have forgot to say this. We talked about it before the stream starts, but for those of you out there who are new to the system, if you don't declare that you're doing lethal damage, it's presumed to be non-lethal, which doesn't mean people aren't hurt. It just means they're not going to die when you do what Wiki just did and dish out almost 3 times the amount of damage you need to put somebody down. And when you do lethal damage as Starfleet officers, it gives me threat because you're getting all extra violent. I'm not above getting extra threat, but
I have a doctor with me. It'll be fine.
Wait a minute. The system punishes you for being grimdark? I love that.
Yes, it does. Okay, so.
Well, if you're Federation, it should.
Yes. So you have 2 points of extra. You generated 2 points of momentum. You can, I mean, spending it for extra damage seems a little silly because that guy's down.
Yeah.
There's no way for her to spin it to get takedown and go to.
Yeah, can I just move to the next guy?
Well, if there had been someone else right next to him, you could spend 2 momentum. You know what? I'm going to say, just so we can demonstrate the system, there were 2 Orions side by side. So you can spend those 2 momentum to do what's called secondary target. A second target within reach of the attack's target is also affected by the attack and suffers half the attack's damage rounding down, which half of 17 rounding down is 8, which is more than enough to put him down as well.
Yes. So I just step forward and go, whoosh, whoosh, sit down.
Okay, that is 2 points of momentum very well spent. So there are now 2 Orions on the floor. Yeah.
And I'm just sort of doing that crouching thing, you know? And I just look up at the guy with the hostage. And my antenna go.
Well
like,
done.
I'm coming for you, buddy.
Well done. Okay, so now you used your 2 momentum for that secondary attack, and that was well spent. So now, do you wish to? There's blood everywhere. Do you wish to spend momentum threat to keep the initiative? Now, here's another thing tactically to keep in mind: the way the initiative works. There are now 2 fewer Orions.
Mm-hmm.
So once the last Orion who's still up has gone, all the remaining characters on your side will just take their turns in order, in whatever order you choose. So that first round of combat, when there was equal number of opponents, it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So one of the things to think about as combat progresses, when your side starts taking enemies out and you outnumber them, that's kind of a waste of your momentum to seize the initiative when you're going to get a whole bunch of your people going at once anyway.
Yeah, I think we're good with going, letting them take their turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe they'll surrender.
I am a little frightening right now.
You are a little frightening, yes. All right, so I am going to have the big bad Orion, who is holding the hostage. He will use his minor action to draw out a knife. And then he will spend a threat to sort of shove the hostage over towards one of his henchmen. So I'm going to spend a threat.
Buddy, you think you look cool, but you do not want to knife fight her.
You're bringing a knife to a sword fight.
We weren't even allowed to fight her in the tutorial mission.
Do.
Okay, so one of the things I've just discovered about Roll20, unfortunately, my place on the line means that my momentum pool is hidden behind that stupid dice thing. So I have to go the long way about to adjust my threat pool. So in the future, I'm going to spend lots of it at once and save myself a headache. All right, so he spent a threat for an extra minor action to sort of pass her off. And he will then use his task to move to you. However, I'm not going to get super crazy and spend 2 more threat to attack you this time. So he is now in reach of Vicia, which means if Hathaway or Dryson target him and get a complication, that might mean bad news for our Endurian security chief. So things to keep in mind, like when you get a complication doing risky things, then bad things sometimes happen to those at risk. Okay.
Or Tashiar.
All right, so passing back to the Starfleet team. Alex and Jonesy and your 3 security officers are yet to go.
Ray and the other 2 guys.
Ray and those 2 doofuses.
They have not earned names yet.
Ensign Krebs and Ensign Kubiak.
Do you want to go, Jonesy? You can go.
Sure. I'm going to be unsciency and shoot someone.
Okay.
So I'm going to aim first.
Okay. So of the 4 remaining Orions, you've got 1 holding the hostage. You didn't have one previously. You've got the leader who's engaged in who's rolled up into reach of your security chief, and you have 2 that are less risky to shoot at that are holding their energy weapons.
The last 2. The ones that are easiest for me to hit.
There you go. Right. So it's range combat. So that is control and security with a difficulty of 2. Do you have, and I know you're a science officer, you might not. Do you have any focuses that might help? Okay, that's all right. It just means what it means.
Nope. Nothing.
Okay.
Zips.
Okay, now you can, because you aimed, you can reroll one of those.
Sure, but you won't really do anything because it's only 1. But it's also 0.
One will give you 2 successes. Okay, again.
It's all zeros all the time for the science officer.
Clearly, the doctor's melee prowess has rattled you, and your lack of confidence is affecting your effectiveness on the landing party mission. Now, if you decide, like next round, assuming Wiki doesn't murder everyone before the round is over, you could like move into the bridge with a diminished number of opponents. You could get to a bridge station and maybe do something. Again, so think about, so your turn comes around again, like just, you can look at your character sheet for inspiration, maybe if there's something you might want to pull there. Okay, so we'll pull back to them. One of your security officers got a complication, and I'm going to say that he is targeted by one of the Orions.
That sounds about right.
No.
Hey, no, wait, that's me.
No, it was the last security officer.
The last security officer that went.
I thought you
Yeah.
said one of you science officers. That's my bad.
No,
No,
sorry,
security.
officer. So I guess my dice, it's not so much that my dice hate me, but they like all of you. Because the Orion just got 4 successes on the security guy. So it's time for Ray to take his blast. All right.
Nope,
so...
it's not Ray.
Not Ray. That one's Billy
okay.
Shat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, we better make it Krebs. All right. So I've got 2 momentum.
We just met Ray, but we will die for Ray.
I will jump in front of a blast if it's for Ray.
Okay. 2, 4. And I will spend that 2 momentum for additional damage. So Ray drops. He is in bad shape, Doctor. So you might want to spend your turn doing first aid when it comes back around. But he is not in a good way. Right. So the leader has gone.
He said, "Ow, my most of me."
It will pass back to your team. So you've got 2 more security officers and the doctor.
I'm gonna go save Ray's life.
It's not Ray.
It's not Ray. Let him die.
It's Krebs. It's Krebs. All right, so you can move to him as a minor action, and
Yep.
then
Then I will first aid his ass.
okay.
And first aid, I have a talent for that. When I attempt a first aid task during combat, I gain a bonus d20.
Okay, so you're going to adjust your taskbar up to 3d20.
Ooh,
Awesome.
fancy.
Yeah, the talents are really nice. One of the tricks to this system is there's 50 books with talents in them. So, like, you can spend a lot of time finding the perfect talent.
It's a daring and medicine test with a difficulty of 1.
Ooh, wait.
Yes.
I have a talent for my knife, and I only rolled 2.
Oh. And look how deadly you were.
I know.
Right. Also, Kevin, I have a focus for emergency medicine, so does this qualify
Okay,
for that?
so switch your focus on. Yes. Anything to help you get more successes is a good thing.
All right. 2 successes.
Okay. So you succeed in stabilizing him, and you generate a point of momentum. Do you wish to bank it or spend it?
Oh, it's
With-
I can spend 2 to bring the patient back into the fighting, but I will. I say we bank it because this guy did not impress us. But that's no reason for him to die.
Right. So, but that's a good. I like how you're like, okay, I could spend that momentum I have and the one that's in the pool and put him back in the fight. And you know, if a fight is going against you, sometimes that might be a good. Like you guys seem to have in the second round, sort of gotten the upper hand, if you will. I don't want to use the word momentum because that has mechanical. But okay, so
Yeah. So I'll rush over to him. I'll pull out my little spray medicine thingy from Star Trek and spray medicine all over him.
Hypo spray.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, it's the hypo spray.
And I will spray it on him.
It
And
works
when he
better if you
looks,
spray the medicine in them, but yeah.
yeah.
In, not on.
Oh, okay. I will give him
Totally
a nice injection in the neck.
There you go.
Totally
There you go.
different setting. Totally different setting.
I will. I'll kiss him on his forehead and put him to sleep.
Okay. All right. So that was the doctor. Let's see. I have 2 more Orions that can act. All right. I should say no, there's only 1 more who can act because the one is busy holding the prisoner. All right, so what does he want to do? All right, so he looks a little, there's a little malicious gleam in his eye and a cold smile as he takes aim at the security officer who just happens to be up in dueling range with his leader.
Superior.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a pirate committing another crime.
I got. Well, no, I think he's hoping that maybe he'll accidentally shoot his leader guy.
Wiki knows her Orion psychology. Maybe she
Yeah,
should be the one trying to give him the money. All right. So he did get his 2 successes, which is the minimum needed to hit our security officer. Wiki, why do my dice like you?
I have no
I
idea.
only got 3. Right, so that's not enough to put you down, but that is 3 points of stress damage, and I believe you have an astronomically high stress total
I do.
as our security chief. Right, so you take a minor burn and you kind of look over like, what the? And you see,
I don't even look.
you don't look, but you know who does look? The Orion leader you're facing. He keeps one eye on you, but turns his head enough to give a little side eye to the Joker that just fired into his melee.
Into his space? Yeah.
Bad move, Kevin. She's going to stab you in the side of the face.
That's probably true. Right. So that was my last Orion. So we've still got one more security guy who's up and Jonesy, right? Oh no, Jonesy went. Didn't you?
Yeah. Ray
yeah.
hasn't gone yet. And
so you
the
have
other
one more security guy. Well,
2 security guys.
Yeah, we have Ray and unnamed guy.
Well, but unnamed guy got gunned down.
There were 3.
3.
Right. Did one of them already act?
No.
Okay.
Not in this round.
My bad. That's why I need a flow chart with this.
I've been keeping track.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're keeping
I can't
track.
trust my security officer. Who can I trust? All right. So because all Orions have acted, those 2 can make their attacks. There are 2 Orions who are not engaged with anyone, and there is one engaged with Viscia and one engaged with holding a hostage.
All right. All right, I need to reset that for a second. Let's have Ray shoot at, you said there's one that's doesn't have a hostage and isn't engaged, right? There's still one of those?
There are 2 of those.
Okay.
That
He's going to attempt to shoot at one of those.
Okay.
Come on, Ray. Oh,
do you want to take a minor action to aim, or do you want to set? Or I'm sorry, he's shooting. Yes. Do you want to take a minor action to aim?
Yes, he will take a minor
he can
action.
Reroll one of his D20s.
Give me my cursor. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So he can.
All right.
So he can reroll that 1.
Come on, Ray. Nope.
Okay,
Just 1.
Ray will miss. There are 4 lights.
You let us down, Ray.
Nice. All right. So there are no Orions that haven't acted yet. So that last security guy, Kubiak, can make his attack. Kubiak attack.
I was just calling him Shufflebutt, so. All right. He will also aim. Come on, guys.
Okay. So looks like
hey!
There we go. All right. His effect dice are 6.
Yeah, 6. So, click away and clicky doo doo. Holy moly, Shufflebutt!
Yeah, so that's 5 or more stress. So regardless of what other effects you might trigger, that Orion is down. There are 3 levels of NPCs in the game, and one of the things that the higher ups can do, like player characters, they can spend points to avoid an injury. But the really minor ones, I mean, they're minions basically. They cannot avoid an injury. So that guy is down, and now there's only 3 Orions left. Killer Kubiak.
That's right, Morgan. Killer Kubiak.
Okay, so that's it for that round. So starting round 3, and again, it's one of those, mechanically it takes a long time to play out, but so we're looking at what, 18 seconds here.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Right. First round, a lot of misses. Yeah. So things are looking grim for the Orions. There are only 3 of them still conscious, and one of them is holding a hostage. Your team can act first. Now you can. Do you want Viscia to show this guy how a knife fight goes? Do you want somebody to attempt an intimidation? Do you want Um,
I
You
want
want Dyson
Vicio
to
to
sort
put
of
that
roll
guy's
into the
insides on
bridge?
the outside.
okay.
Cool. I'm good with that.
Okay. So this is an opposed roll. Lord have mercy.
If she beats the captain, she's the captain, right? That's how it works.
Well, in the Klingon Navy, yes. So I got 2 successes.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so I actually only stay at 2 still, because the talent for that is that when I make a melee attack or am targeted by a melee attack and buy 1 or more die by adding to threat, I can re-roll the dice pool for the task.
Okay. So a little bit nicer than aiming. You could re-roll the entire pool if you
Right.
give me threat by buying an
Right.
extra die. Okay. So I have 2 successes.
Ooh. Let me make sure I have the right, yeah, and I don't have the right things marked. Okay. Let's see how this goes. I also have 2.
Okay. But
ties go to the
attacker wins
attacker.
Ties go to the attacker.
Woo woo!
So here's the part where it gets real ugly. Okay, go ahead and click your damage dice for the Ushan.
Okie dokie. Boom. Ooh, oh goodness. 2,
Oh
6, 7,
my lord.
8. 8 and 4.
Yeah. So needless to say, that's more than 5 stress. So he is down and out no matter what. If you wanted, every one of those chevrons could count as one of your effect. Is Vicious your only special effect?
Vicious is the only one for the Ushan.
Which basically means each of those chevron counts as 2 damage instead of 1. So yeah, he's down. You didn't take a minor action, did you?
I did not.
Okay, so you could use your minor action to move to the last Orion who is not currently engaged in shenanigans.
Oh, I think I will.
Okay.
I think I will I stand from my crouch, as you know, because I look up at him and I give him a little grin, and I stand from my crouch. He turns his head and I come up right across his face, push him out of my way, and head toward the guy who shot at me.
Excellent. All right. So unless you're going to seize the initiative, it is now the Orion's turn.
Nope, we're good.
Okay.
Surrender is a free action.
It sure is. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see how tough he's feeling, just seeing the slaughter that has just been unleashed. That guy that Vicio's up in his grill, he just drops his energy weapon and says, there's no need for excessive violence. I surrender. Which brings it back to the Starfleet team.
Is that what his voice sounds like?
I'm not sure if I remember what Orions sound like. I haven't heard one speak since the animated series, and that's a long time ago.
I mean, they just sound like people.
Yeah.
No, he sounds like
But
he's
they're
trying to
green.
seduce us, not surrender to us.
Well, there's that Orion mystique,
Yeah, he might be trying.
It could be both.
He's
Yeah.
he's hoping the pheromones are doing their job. Okay,
They're not.
So only Wiki has gone on your side.
Yep.
Kicking it over to you guys. That Orion spent his action to surrender because things are bad right now.
Who wants to take out the guy with the hostage?
Oh yeah, there's a hostage still.
Yes, there's still a hostage.
Oh, I don't trust one of our ensigns not to accidentally hit the hostage. Can I try to free the hostage again?
Psychologically, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Intimidate.
Yeah,
No.
like I will. She's coming for you next.
This will go better for you if you surrender your hostage.
Either surrender the hostage or she will end you.
So you're going to use daring and command on that? That sounds... Or do you want to argue for some other combination?
I was gonna say reason because duh, dude.
Okay, again, yes. That
Not
makes
duh
sense
to
to me
you,
as well.
duh to the Orion.
no, I get what you're saying, but again, that's what I'm used to. There is a specific thing, and we're going to roll against that. I like that the players have some agency in saying, well, this is what I'm trying to do, so it should be this. And I go, yeah, that makes sense. That's good.
I'm here to appeal to your logic side, even though I'm not a Vulcan.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to check your ears later.
I'm sure he's in a Vulcan.
I don't think they would name a Vulcan Terry. 1 success.
Okay. Given the situation, there's only 2 of them left, and 1 has already surrendered. I would think that difficulty 1 should be all that you need. And what was that roll? It was okay. I keep forgetting the system will auto. I was going crazy when I first set these up. I'm like, how can it possibly be rolling this low consistency on a D20? Oh, it's calculating the successes automatically. So a difficulty 1, given that, again, you adjust that, the difficulty can be from 0 to 5. And again, given the situation, I would say that 1 success should be all you need to convince that last guy that he really has no hope of fighting this out. So he will carefully release the hostage and kind of step back and let that energy pistol drop.
And I will go and examine the hostage for injuries.
Okay. Give me insight and reason, or medicine and science. So in other words, because some things for medicine and science there's a lot of overlap between those 2 fields, I would say you could use either one. And insight and reason often, you know what I mean, you can sort of argue. So you can stack up your best.
Awesome. You mean insight and medicine, right? Because insight and reason go together. Okay.
I'm sorry. Insight and medicine, or insight and science, or reason and medicine, or reason and science. Like whichever combo. And again, as a doctor, I'm going to assume your medicine is probably your best.
Yep. And I have a focus in triage, so I'm just going to come over and just give a quick, like, are you okay? You good?
Okay, yes. I was having you roll to see if you could identify the species, but if you're coming over for triage, that's 3 successes, which will generate 1 extra success.
I have xenobiology too, so if it's a matter of taking care of a species I'm not familiar with, I also have a talent for that.
Okay. Well, because with your combo of triage and species identification being a difficulty 2, you still generated a point of momentum. She has only minor injuries. And you, as you're sort of doing your triage scan with the tricorder, you realize that she is Deltan.
She is what?
Deltan.
What is she? Does she look like she belongs on a Federation ship?
Well, Delta 4 is a Federation member.
But is she wearing a uniform? Is she? I know it's a civilian.
It's
ship.
a civilian ship. She is wearing something. She's not wearing a Starfleet uniform, but she is wearing something that could pass as like a corporate uniform kind of thing. I always imagine that, you know, the civilian side of the Federation is sort of that, you know, first Alien movie look where everyone's grumbling about their pay and, you know, they're talking about shares and.
But she looks like a corporate person, not like an alien truck driver. Just a
right.
Like an alien truck driver.
Alien truck driver. I like that.
She looks like a passenger rather than the captain of this boat. Speaking of captains, I would like to let the captain know that we have prisoners, and I'd like to take Ray and Kubicki and head toward the other 6 Orions that are still gallivanting about the ship.
I would like to get to the system, ship's computer, and try to shut them into where they're at. They can't gallivant anywhere else on the ship.
I like that, Jonesy. So you may give me your
science.
Well, here's the thing. Control, because he's trying to sort of hem somebody in, is really more of a security discipline. But your control and security, given it's a Federation computer and you know the systems well, I would say it's only a difficulty 1. So give me a control and security to lock down those last bunch of Orions and keep them from getting where they shouldn't be and accessing what they shouldn't access.
I don't have any focuses or anything that will apply, so I got 1 success.
Okay, and the ship's computers and security can assist you. So someone roll a d20. You're looking for a target number of 7 or less. So again, it's not a Federation starship. I'm sorry, it's not a Starfleet ship, so it's not quite as beefy.
I rolled a 17 to help.
Okay, so the ship was not much help. How many successes? So you got the 1 success that you needed.
Yeah, but I think Jonesy gets 1 more dice too, because it only
did I
rolled
hit
the
it wrong
1
again?
dice.
Oh, yeah.
Let me roll the second die. Keep doing that. Apologize.
It's okay. We're all new to the
2
system.
successes.
Yeah.
2 successes.
Okay, which is 1 more than you needed. So you successfully lock the computer out, and you lock them in a compartment of engineering where they can't get anything vital. And you, because you got 1 more success than you needed, you generated a point of momentum, which you may bank if you like. Because what's going to happen is, as we wrap up the scene here on the Star of Lafandi, you're going to lose a point of momentum. So by banking it, you're sort of keeping the pool at 3 when we shift.
Yes, I'll make it.
Okay. So the Delton captain, her name is Gemma, is very grateful that you have rescued her from these thieving Orions, who no doubt planned for unpleasant fates for both the cargo and crew of the Star of Lafandi.
Gemma, what are you transporting?
Crates.
How many crates?
My answer will change. Sorry, that's one of those Easter eggs.
All crates.
Most of what they're transporting is exotic foodstuffs. There's a lot of fringy type places in the sector where there's a lot of call for that. Where some of the Alpha Quadrant's more daring elites will, like to flirt with a little bit of danger without being like going to the Rigel system. You know what I mean? So there's actually a fairly decent profit margin in this era for that sort of thing. Now you could, of course, go inspect the cargo physically, but what she shows you on the manifest is largely exotic foodstuffs.
I'm not a cop. It's fine.
I am.
I suspect the Orions were more interested in the crew and the ship itself than as opposed to the cargo.
Yeah.
That's true. Where's the rest of the crew? Do you have a rest of your crew?
Yes. Most of them, when we came under attack, they scrambled to damage control stations. The ship is terribly complicated to pilot in a straight line, especially since we couldn't outrun the Orion Raiders. We unfortunately, damage control became more important. It didn't help us keep our shields up, and of course, once our shields were down, they beamed over boarding parties. And well, if you hadn't gotten here when you did, it could have been a huge disaster.
Well, I'm glad we were in the neighborhood.
And Gemma is the captain. Is she the Delta?
Yes, she's the Delta. Yeah.
Okay. Not the name I was expecting, but okay.
Well, sometimes you got to sacrifice for the sake of the Easter egg.
Sometimes that name resonates around here.
Oh. Shedding too much light. Shedding too much light.
I wish Andy was here.
So it takes an hour or so for the situation. The Griffin succeeds at driving off the Orion raid ships. And then it will circle back around, and you will be hailed by Lieutenant Mendez, who is the communications officer, asking for a sit rep, and you can sort of fill him in as to what went down.
Mostly Orions.
Mostly Orion. Well done.
Mostly.
He says the captain received a priority transmission from Starfleet during the battle. So he wanted me to inform you that you should beam back as soon as you're finished. We have to get it underway.
Ouch.
What'd you say? I gotta get Krebs down to the med bay too.
Yeah, he's off the away roster for a while. That was terrible. Extra training.
Yeah, Viscia, you're probably gonna want to get looked at for that burn too.
What burn? Oh. I'm fine. I've had worse frostbite.
So Captain Gemma is very grateful. Again, Deltans are known for being not very restrained when it comes to their social interactions. So she is perhaps a little friendlier maybe than you're comfortable with. She bids you all farewell and thanks you. You return to the Griffin, and as you materialize, you kind of feel the ship shifts to high warp speed.
So warp 7.
Yes, the good
In
old
this
days.
era.
The good old days.
Also, thank you
And
for
since-
subscribing, Jupe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hey, Jupe.
Woohoo! Jupe.
I'm busy being a deer in the headlights. I'm not even paying as much attention as I normally would to chat. This is scary stuff. How does Alex do this every week? Okay, so Ensign Thomas tells you guys, before you get settled in, the captain wants to give senior staff a briefing.
Okay.
So he
Sure
will
thing.
sort of lead you guys to briefing room 1. And then you see the other senior staff is there. There's, caffeine type refreshments are here. And there's charming silvery, styrofoam cups or space age styrofoam. The non-transparent aluminum.
It's probably
Yeah,
the same styrofoam from the 60s. It's just lasted this long.
Yeah. It's a goofy aside. One of the background props in Wrath of Khan is a little like space capsule looking thing hanging up on the wall in Khan's ship. That was a toy box in the 80s that you get. It was shaped like a space capsule, and I had one of those. It's like, hey, my props in the movie. Anyway, back on track. So the captain says, yes, while we've been doing those bloody Orion devils, good job, Viscia. Gave them all right good kicking, yes. A situation has occurred, and I guess we can blame the Orions for that as well. There is a shift in the border that has taken place against what I think is our better judgment, but unfortunately, no one seems to care what the Federation Council has to say about it. He puts on the display this sort of expanding cloud of bright blue gases that you can kind of see looks almost like a sort of primitive rendition of a crown. This is the Cerulean Crown Nebula. And apparently some pirates have been using it to raid into Klingon space. And so in their charmingly diplomatic way, the Klingons have annexed that portion of the sector in an effort to be, I don't know, falsely friendly. The Orion Merchant League has agreed to cede this space to the Klingons. Here becomes our problem. It's a Class E nebula, which blocks subspace communications. There is an expatriate colony on a planet that is within the nebula boundary that are about to become property of the Klingons. And although they have brushed their hands, if you will, of Federation space, we don't really want to let them fall into Klingon hands. So we've been tasked with retrieving them before the Klingons' territorial claim goes into effect in 3 days. At our current speed, that gives us about 12 hours to find them and get them out. Navigational data has been sent, so we need to prepare ourselves for a quick in and out before things, go to bloody hell as they do when the Klingons take things over. Questions? All right then, rest up. It's going to be a crazy mission. I know it's a little late. Do you want to take our break here, Alex?
That's probably a good point to take the break.
Okay.
We will be back in just a couple of minutes, everybody. We're going to get up and stretch our legs and grab a drink and grab a snack, and we will see you on the other side when we go deal with these Klingons.